Hi YouTube, Kev here from Tabletop Upgrades, and in this video I'm going to show you a little trick that I found when making these Foamcore game box inserts, and it's using black masking tape. Now the video is going to be in three parts. The first is going to be how I create these designs. In particular, I'm going to be creating a design for tiny epic galaxies, and it's going to be the insert that holds the cards. It's going to also function as a card stand. The second is I'm actually going to cut it on the laser cutter. Now you could just as easily follow these instructions with a craft knife. And the third part is showing you the neat little trick with the black masking tape. So let's get into it. So stage one, we need to create the file. Now you can do this in many different ways. I like to plan it out using a computer. Some people like to freestyle it just using a craft knife. But in particular, I'm using a piece of laser cutting software called Lightburn. Its nearest kind of vector editing counterpart is a free software called GIMP. But let's have a look at the software now, and I'll show you how I've laid the product out. So this is the stuff that we're going to be using. It's a 5mm foam core. So if you're not familiar with that stuff, then it is basically expanded foam sandwiched between two pieces of card. Now I've checked with the manufacturer. This is a Cathedral brand, and it doesn't contain any PVC. That's really important when laser cutting it. PVC causes all kinds of nasty problems and actually releases and vaporizes hydrochloric acid, so we don't want that. We'll check that's fine. Now onto the design itself. This is a 5mm board, the stuff that we're using. So what I've done is I've planned out the box itself here, and I've left just under 5mm gaps, so the thing is going to plug together, and then I'm going to use the tape to secure it, and I'm going to show you that because it's really neat how it fits together. So the way I'm going to cut this, it's going to be in 3 layers. The first one is going to be cut at 150mm, 50% speed, and then I'm going to do 2 further passes at 35% at 150mm a second, because basically it sets on fire if you don't do that. So let's upload this to the laser cutter and we'll get it cut. So inside the laser cutter, I've got the foam core. I put a couple of pieces of metal on it just to weight it down because it's bowed. So I just need to set the focal length. Now normally most laser cutters come with one of these things. I used it for a long time, but I found it's just not repeatable. So what I've started using is a gauge block, and this has given me much better results. So this is accurate to a ridiculous degree, maybe 1/1000 of a millimetre. Not that I'll be able to attain that level here, but it does give me much greater repeatability. So I've just got a little feel fit there. So next, onto the controller, I'm going to frame. That's the old job. There's some prism things. So we'll frame it, check that it fits. It does. Now, what it should do now is when I close the lid, we'll be able to cut it in a few passes. So what I'm actually going to do is put you inside the laser cutter. What could possibly go wrong? See if this works. Let's go. This is the first pass, and this is at 150 millisecond with 50% power. So this will get us through the top sheet, most of the way through the foam. And then we're just doing a few extra laps at 35% power, and you'll start seeing a bright flash where the laser starts bouncing off the honeycomb bed, and we know with some confidence that we've cut through the material now. So with all the parts cut, let's have a look at the Tiny Epic Galaxies box. So inside is quite standard board games, a load of ugly plastic baggies and loose components. And we've got some poker size cards which are kind of loose in the corner there. And this little box that we're going to make in this video is going to house these cards, but it's also going to double up, hopefully, as a card draw and discard stand for when the game is in progress. So by the end of it, we're going to end up with a box, something like this. I actually made this for Greg Favreau's Spire's End to hold these beautiful key dice and a few of the health trackers and things like that. But you'll notice that it's actually a really strong, solid construction. It's extremely lightweight as well. A fraction of the price and in my mind look a lot better than the MDF ones that you can get from some of the bigger manufacturers on Etsy, eBay and online. So we've got the parts fresh off the laser cutter, and you'll notice that the foam has been scalloped out a little bit, but critically it's not been melted all the way, and it's a perfectly functional part. Now you could have just as easily cut this with a craft knife and safety rule, and I'm actually going to be releasing some of these as PDFs on my website and maybe even on Patreon. I'm aiming to build up a big library of downloadable game inserts, and the pieces should just slot together. Now you'll notice that at the ends I've done slightly differently. I've done one which is more like a T shape where the tabs go right up to the end, and another one that fits on the end, and I'll show you why I've done that when I put it together with this excellent black masking tape, which is really the key to the whole process. So assembly is pretty simple. I'm just going to push the parts together. And get the old black masking tape going. So this stuff's fairly expensive. It's used as in photography for mounting photos, I believe, and sealing the back of expensive mounts. Now I paid about £6 for this, but this was a one-off quantity because I didn't know if it was going to work. But you can also get something called washi tape, which is a black sort of Japanese paper crafting item, and that promises to be just as good and maybe even a touch cheaper. So what I'm going to do is just cut a couple of little strips just to hold the thing together. Then I'm going to do a wrap completely around the outside. So carefully put that on the corner, and I'll do the same on all four, and then I'll finish it off with a full wrap right around the outside. Put that round, go again. So we've got the basis of the box. Now this insert, if it works to my plan, I haven't actually made this yet, can just fit inside. And it'll work as a discard, and at the end of the game you can pull that out and stash it with the cards. So let's do a full wrap, and for this I'm going to need a longer piece of masking tape, and I'm not even going to try and measure it. I'm just going to freestyle it over the edge. So lining this up with, let's move the camera up a touch, and line it up with the top. And pull it along. Once you've got the first side on, it's not too bad. Just the strength of the box kind of holds it together. It takes a surprising amount of force to actually pull the tape off the reel. I think if I do start issuing these as PDFs on my website, I'll probably work out exactly how much tape you do need for each design, so you can pre-cut it and save this hassle. There we go. I'll flip that upside down. Make a nice straight cut with a craft knife. He says, nice straight cut. And then when I made the prototype, this was kind of the satisfying bit, because what you do is you get the craft knife, put it into the corner, and then just slit it up the side like that. One more to go. And if we do a good job folding it, it should look pretty neat, I think. So I'm pretty happy with the result of this. You can see that the extra divider piece sits in the top and it's in no danger of going anywhere when the manual's in place holding it all together. But this kind of concept is something that I really want to develop, and I'm going to do a video where I finish off this tiny Epic Galaxies divider, sort out all these ugly plastic baggies and maybe have some kind of easy player divider system going on. But multifunctional components are where it's at for me. Something that can plug in, and it's not just a divider but also a functional game piece that works and fits in with the Tabletop Upgrades ethos of making your games look better, play better and set up quicker. Now if you like these videos, please do consider subscribing and drop me a comment to tell me what kind of game you would like me to do an insert for. I've got my good friend Tom sending me a copy of his Terra Mystica and I can't wait to do that, because that's going to be a real challenge because there are hundreds of pieces in that. But this little one has been a great starting point and something that's allowed me to test my process and develop this black masking tape technique, which I'm super happy with. So I will see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.